Have you ever felt that your inner world, the sacred space of your thoughts and feelings, is under constant siege? A quiet whisper of ancient wisdom suggests that within each of us lies a fortress, waiting to be claimed. This is the path to unshakable confidence and true inner peace. 7 Habits that Protect Your Inner World. Stoicism, compiled and published by Stoic Dominion. Lesson 1. Guard your mind from noise. Imagine for a moment that your mind is not merely a thinking machine, but a vast and fertile inner landscape, a serene, walled garden gifted to you at birth. Within its walls, the soil is rich with potential, capable of cultivating magnificent ideas, profound insights, and vibrant creativity. Much like a garden can yield the most exquisite flowers and nourishing fruits. This inner sanctuary is designed to be a place of immense power and deep tranquility, a private Eden where your true self can flourish. However, for the vast majority of us in the modern world, the gates to this sacred garden have been left unlocked, unguarded, and thrown wide open to the relentless, chaotic traffic of the outside world. We experience the consequence of this vulnerability as a constant, low-level hum of anxiety, a persistent and unsettling feeling of being perpetually distracted. It is the sensation of being pulled in 1,000 different directions at once by an unending torrent of notifications, fleeting opinions, sensationalized breaking news, and the meaningless, cacophonous stream of digital chatter. This gives rise to the fundamental inner conflict of the modern soul, a deep, almost primal yearning for focus, silence, and peace, while simultaneously being ensnared by a behavioral addiction to the very noise that systematically shatters it. The problem is not merely a lack of discipline, it is a profound act of self-abandonment. We have forgotten, or perhaps were never taught, our most vital role, the role of the sovereign gatekeeper of our own consciousness. By abdicating this noble duty, we allow the unfiltered noise of the world, the trivial, the outrageous, the irrelevant, to trample indiscriminately across our inner landscape. The consequences are devastating. The fertile soil becomes compacted and barren. We find ourselves unable to cultivate a single coherent thought for any length of time. Our attention span withers, our capacity for deep work evaporates, and we begin to feel like strangers to ourselves, lost in the noise of other people's priorities. The quiet voice of our own intuition is drowned out, and we are left feeling mentally exhausted, spiritually fragmented, and fundamentally disconnected from our own inner world. The transformative solution, a cornerstone of Stoic wisdom, is to consciously and deliberately reclaim your rightful authority as the sovereign of your mind. This is not about building a prison to lock yourself away from the world, but about cultivating a majestic palace, a space so well guarded and beautifully maintained that only thoughts, ideas, and influences that actively serve your growth, your virtue, and your tranquility are granted entry. This ancient practice is predicated on the simple but powerful idea of deliberate consumption. It is the unshakable understanding that just as the physical body is directly affected by the quality of the food it consumes, the mind and soul are profoundly shaped by the quality of the information they digest. The core idea is that your attention is the sunlight of your inner garden. Without it, nothing of value can grow. If you allow it to be scattered and diffused, only the weeds of distraction and anxiety will thrive in the shadows. But if you learn to focus your attention like a concentrated beam of light, you can cultivate anything you wish. The immediate benefit of this practice is a profound and palpable shift from a state of anxious, reactive distraction to one of serene, proactive clarity. You will begin to feel your mental ground become firm and stable again. The tangled weeds of useless information will be cleared. Your thoughts will begin to untangle, and a beautiful, quiet space will open up within you. A space where true self-discovery and meaningful creation can finally begin. To begin this essential practice, you must first become a conscious and honest observer of your own mind. The first actionable step is to conduct a meticulous noise audit. For the next 3 days, treat yourself as a scientist observing a subject. Carry a small notebook or use a dedicated app on your phone, and every hour, take a moment to honestly document what has occupied your mind. Was it a useful article that expanded your knowledge? A meaningful conversation that deepened a relationship? Or was it, as is so often the case, hours lost to mindless scrolling through social media, a surge of anger over a political headline, or a pointless dive into celebrity gossip? Be brutally honest and completely non-judgmental in this audit. The goal is not to shame yourself, but to gather the raw data you need to make a change. The second step is to establish a sacred hour of inviolable silence. Choose 1 hour each and every day. The first hour after you wake is often the most powerful, where you grant yourself the gift of pure, unadulterated silence. Permit absolutely no external noise. The phone remains off, the television dark, the computer asleep. Use this precious time to simply be with yourself. You can think, write in a journal, plan your day with focused intention, meditate, or simply sit with a cup of tea and watch the world wake up. This hour is non-negotiable. It is your time to reconnect with your own center. The third step is to become a master curator of your informational diet. Go through your phone and ruthlessly turn off every single non-essential notification. Unsubscribe from email newsletters you never read. Unfollow social media accounts that consistently provoke feelings of envy, anger, or inadequacy. View every piece of potential information not as an entitlement, but as a visitor humbly asking for entry into the sacred palace of your mind. You are the king or queen of this domain, and you possess the absolute right to deny entry to any visitor that does not contribute to the peace and prosperity of your kingdom. By diligently applying these actions, you will initiate a cascade of profound and lasting positive transformations. Your ability to concentrate on complex, meaningful tasks will sharpen to a degree you may not have thought possible. Your baseline level of daily anxiety will decrease significantly, as your mind and nervous system are no longer being constantly buffeted by every passing digital storm. Most importantly, you will reclaim a deep and abiding sense of agency over your own mind. You will transition from being a passive receptacle for the world's discarded noise to being the active and intentional creator of your own inner world. You will find yourself trading the chaotic, irritating static of modern life for a clear, resonant, and beautiful signal that emanates from the core of your own being. You will finally be able to hear yourself think again. Your practice begins this very moment. Choose just one of the 3 foundational steps, the noise audit, the sacred hour, or the ruthless curation, and commit to practicing it with sincerity for the next 7 days. This is not a quick fix or a temporary solution. It is the cultivation of a lifelong foundational habit, the continuous and loving act of tending to your own inner garden. View this practice not as a restrictive chore, but as the ultimate, most empowering act of self-liberation and self-respect. Having begun the great work of fortifying the outer walls of your mind and guarding the gates against external noise, you may now find your attention turning inward to the disturbances that arise not from the world, but from the people in it. How do we protect ourselves from the emotional turbulence caused by our interactions with others? In our next lesson, we will explore the subtle but essential art of building profound inner strength by forging powerful and compassionate emotional boundaries. To continue on this vital path of self-mastery, ensure you subscribe to the Stoic Dominion channel, like this video to signal your commitment, and share in the comments which specific source of noise you are most committed to silencing for good. Lesson 2. Emotional boundaries. Build inner strength. Picture your soul, your essential self, as a vast and sovereign nation. This inner country has its own unique landscape, its own climate, its own delicate ecosystem. Within this sacred territory, your emotions are the rivers that flow and the seasons that change. They are powerful, natural forces that give your personal landscape its life, its beauty, and its color. A healthy inner nation is one that is well-defined and well-governed. However, for far too many of us, this precious land has no clearly marked borders, no fences, no line where our territory ends and another's begins. Consequently, we allow the emotional weather patterns of other people, their sudden storms of anger, their prolonged droughts of despair, their flash floods of anxiety, to sweep across our plains without impediment. These external storms flood our own rivers, poison our own wells, and erode the very soil of our well-being, leaving our own emotional landscape devastated. This creates a deeply personal and painful conflict. We possess a genuine and noble desire to be compassionate, loving, and connected to our fellow human beings. Yet we consistently find ourselves feeling drained, destabilized, and emotionally hijacked by their internal states. We lose the very ground beneath our own feet in our attempt to steady theirs. The core of the problem lies in a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of true empathy and compassion. We have been conditioned to believe that in order to care for someone, we must wholly absorb their emotional burden. We feel we must leap into the turbulent waters with them, taking on their chaos, their pain, and their turmoil as if it were our own. This misguided approach leaves us perpetually at the mercy of the moods, dramas, and crises of everyone around us. We become emotional chameleons, losing our own color to blend in with the emotional background of our environment, until we can no longer distinguish where their feelings end and our own begin. The transformative solution, a practice deeply rooted in the Stoic ideal of self-possession, is the conscious, deliberate, and unapologetic construction of healthy emotional boundaries. This is not about building cold, impenetrable walls of ice to isolate yourself from others. Rather, it is the art of clearly and respectfully defining the perimeter of your own sacred ground. It is learning how to stand firmly and securely on your own land while extending a compassionate hand of support to someone who is struggling on theirs. This powerful idea teaches that true, effective compassion is not about drowning alongside someone in a shared sea of despair. It is about holding a bright lantern from the safety and stability of the shore, showing them the way back to their own strength. The core concept that underpins this practice is the principle of radical emotional responsibility. You, and you alone, are responsible for managing the weather within your own inner nation, and others in turn are responsible for theirs. By fully internalizing this truth, you unlock the ability to offer a form of support that is both profoundly genuine and infinitely sustainable, for it comes from a place of energetic fullness, not self-sacrificial depletion. The benefits of this are a deep and abiding sense of inner stability, resilience, and personal power. You will discover, perhaps paradoxically, that you can be a far more effective friend, partner, parent, and leader when your own inner wellspring is not being constantly muddied and polluted by external turmoil. The first actionable step to building these essential boundaries is the practice of sympathetic detachment. The next time a friend, family member, or colleague comes to you in a state of emotional distress, commit to listening with your full, undivided attention. Offer them the gift of your presence and your compassion. But as you listen, perform a simple visualization. Imagine a clear, warm, permeable membrane of light surrounding your entire body. This membrane represents your boundary. Their words, their stories, and the information about their feelings can pass through this shield for you to understand them intellectually. But the raw, chaotic energy of their panic, their anger, or their despair is filtered out, leaving your own emotional core untouched and serene. The second step is to master the language of validation without absorption. A simple but incredibly powerful phrase to practice is, "I can see this is incredibly difficult for you," or "that sounds like a very painful situation to be in." These statements are powerful because they validate the other person's experience completely without you taking it on as your own. They acknowledge the reality of their struggle without making it your struggle. The third step, and perhaps the most challenging, is to learn to know your own emotional limits and to honor them without guilt. If you are feeling tired, stressed, or emotionally depleted yourself, it is not only acceptable but absolutely necessary to say something like, "I care about you and I want to support you, but I don't have the emotional capacity to do this topic justice right now. Can we please talk about it tomorrow when I can give you my full attention?" This is not an act of selfishness. It is the ultimate act of self-respect and the prerequisite for any sustainable relationship. The positive transformations you will experience from this practice will be nothing short of life-altering. The exhausting weight of feeling responsible for everyone else's happiness will finally lift from your shoulders. Your relationships, both personal and professional, will become dramatically healthier, based on a foundation of mutual respect and emotional sovereignty, rather than on messy codependence. You will find, to your surprise, that your capacity for genuine empathy actually grows, because you are no longer subconsciously afraid of being consumed and overwhelmed by it. You will become a source of steady, reliable strength for the people in your life, a calm harbor in their storm, precisely because you have finally learned how to protect your own shores from the raging seas. Your motivational practice for this lesson is to become an emotional cartographer. Identify one key relationship in your life where your emotional boundaries feel weak or non-existent. For the next week, your sole task is to observe this dynamic without judgment. Practice using a validating phrase. Notice how it feels to not immediately absorb the other person's energy. Do not strive for perfection, simply observe the terrain. This is the patient, methodical work of a master architect, laying the strong foundations upon which an unshakable inner world is built. Now that we have learned to guard our inner world from the emotional states of other people, we must turn our attention to an even more insidious and pervasive invader: their opinions. How do we possibly remain steadfast and centered when faced with the unpredictable winds of praise, criticism, and the endless, energy-sapping drama of social judgment? Our next lesson will teach the profound and liberating art of achieving detachment from both opinions and drama. If you are finding true value in this journey of self-reclamation, please like this video, comment with your own insights on building boundaries, and subscribe to Stoic Dominion so you do not miss the next crucial step in forging your invincible inner strength. Lesson 3. Detachment from opinions and drama. Envision yourself for a moment as a great and timeless mountain. Your essence is solid granite, your foundations rooted deep within the core of the earth, your peaks scraping the heavens. You are a symbol of permanence, strength, and magnificent indifference. In this metaphor, the opinions of other people, their fleeting praise, their biting criticism, their idle gossip, their manufactured outrage, are merely the weather. They are the inconsequential clouds that drift aimlessly across your face, the temporary winds that howl around your cliffs, the passing rains that wash over your surface. The weather can be dramatic, even violent, but it can never, ever change the fundamental nature of the mountain. The profound inner conflict that causes us so much pain arises because we forget that we are the mountain. Instead, we behave like a single, fragile leaf, ripped from its branch and tossed about violently by every passing gust of judgment. We allow ourselves to soar with a faint whisper of praise and then plummet into despair with the slightest hint of disapproval. This forces us to live in a state of constant, exhausting emotional volatility, our sense of self-worth precariously outsourced to the fickle, ever-shifting whims of the crowd. The problem runs deeper than mere sensitivity. We have fundamentally tethered our very identity to the unstable anchor of external validation. We have handed other people, often casual acquaintances, anonymous strangers on the internet, or colleagues with their own hidden agendas, the sacred power to define who we are. This catastrophic error in judgment makes us unwilling but compliant participants in 1,000 petty dramas. It compels us to constantly manage our image, to anxiously correct misperceptions, to defend our reputation, and to engage in the soul-crushing performance of being the person we think others want us to be. We are living as actors in a play we never auditioned for, desperate for the applause of an audience that is, for the most part, not even paying attention. The truly transformative solution is to cultivate a profound and peaceful detachment from both the good and the bad opinions of others. This is the great liberation offered by Stoic philosophy. It is the unwavering recognition that your character, your personal integrity, and your commitment to virtue are the only true and reliable measures of your worth. And these things are judged not by a fickle external audience, but by the incorruptible judge who resides within your own conscience. This ancient wisdom feels more alive and relevant today than ever before. It teaches that ultimate freedom is found only when the deafening roar of the crowd fades into a negligible background hum, and the only voice that holds any real authority is the quiet, steady, confident voice of your own reasoned mind. The core idea is simple, yet revolutionary. You must learn to build your self-esteem from the inside out, brick by solid brick. You must become like a master craftsman who takes immense pride in the quality, integrity, and beauty of his work, regardless of whether it ever wins an award or receives public acclaim. His satisfaction comes from the work itself, from the knowledge of a job well done. Your pride must come from the quality of your character, regardless of external applause or condemnation. The undeniable benefit of this internal construction project is the discovery of a truly unshakable inner confidence. A confidence that is not loud, arrogant, or boastful, but deeply peaceful, centered, and serene, for it requires absolutely nothing from anyone else to sustain it. Your first actionable step on this path to liberation is to completely redefine your personal scorecard. For the next week, at the end of each day, consciously refuse to measure your success by what others said about you, what they thought of you, or how they reacted to you. Instead, ask yourself a different set of questions. Did I act with kindness and compassion today, even when it was difficult? Did I face a challenge with courage and resilience? Was I honest with myself and with others? Did I apply my best effort to the tasks that mattered? Make your personal virtue the one and only metric that truly counts. The second step is to practice the art of mindful acceptance of both praise and criticism. When someone offers you criticism, your task is to listen calmly and objectively, without the shield of defensiveness. If, after honest reflection, you find that the criticism is true and useful, accept it with genuine gratitude as a valuable tool for your own growth. If you determine that it is false, ill-informed, or malicious, see it for what it truly is, a mere reflection of the other person's own inner state, and allow it to pass by you like a dark cloud, refusing to let it cast a shadow on your inner world. You must apply this same detachment to praise. Accept it graciously and with humility, but do not become dependent on it. Do not let it become the fuel your ego needs to run. The third step is to commit to a drama fast. You must starve the drama in your life by refusing to feed it your attention. Make a conscious choice not to participate in gossip. When a conversation inevitably turns to criticizing someone who isn't present, you have two powerful options. Skillfully redirect the conversation to a more constructive topic, or simply and quietly excuse yourself. When you remove yourself from the theater of drama, you will be astonished at how quickly you cease to be one of its starring actors. By fully embracing these powerful actions, you will experience a liberation so profound it will feel like setting down a weight you didn't even realize you were carrying. The desperate, needy craving for approval will wither and die, and in its place, a quiet, powerful, and self-sufficient assurance will blossom. You will reclaim an immense reserve of mental and emotional energy that was previously squandered on the pointless tasks of worrying about your reputation and managing perceptions. This newfound energy can then be redirected toward your true goals and passions. You will begin to move through the world with a new lightness, a new grace, and a new freedom, unburdened by the crushing weight of 1,000 different contradictory judgments. You are the mountain. The weather is just the weather. Your practice for this lesson is to become a detached observer of your own reactions. For the next 7 days, your mission is to simply notice, with mindful curiosity, how you feel when you encounter praise or criticism. Feel the sting of a negative comment or the warmth of a compliment as a pure physical sensation, but practice seeing it as an external event, utterly separate from the unchangeable truth of your core self. This simple act of dispassionate observation is the first and most critical step toward achieving true detachment and lasting inner freedom. We have now learned to find shelter from the incessant noise of the world, from the emotional tempests of others, and from their ever-shifting opinions. We are building the walls of our inner fortress, stone by stone. But what happens when chaos is not just an occasional storm, but seems to be the very fabric of our daily lives? In our next lesson, we will journey to the very heart of the citadel and explore how to cultivate a sanctuary of profound inner calm, even when completely surrounded by external chaos. To ensure you continue this vital work of self-mastery, subscribe to Stoic Dominion, turn on your notifications, and consider sharing this video with someone in your life who you feel might need to hear this liberating message. Your support is instrumental in helping this ancient wisdom reach those who are actively seeking it. Lesson 4. Inner calm over external chaos. Imagine yourself standing at the absolute center of a furious Category 5 hurricane. All around you, debris flies with lethal speed, the wind howls with a terrifying and primal force, and the visible world beyond your immediate position is a chaotic, indecipherable blur of destructive motion. It is the epitome of chaos, a complete loss of order and predictability. And yet, right where you are standing, in the eye of the storm, there exists a pocket of profound, almost supernatural stillness. The sky above is clear, the air is calm. This is the paradox of the storm. The most profound inner conflict we face as human beings is that when the hurricane of life hits, when a critical project at work fails spectacularly, when a cherished relationship fractures, when our meticulous plans fall to ruin, we almost invariably abandon the calm, safe eye of the storm and rush headlong out into the swirling winds of panic. We foolishly allow the external chaos to become our internal state. We perfectly mirror the turmoil around us with a frantic, racing mind and a panicked, fluttering heart, thereby doubling the destructive power of the event itself. The problem originates from a deeply ingrained and tragically mistaken belief. The belief that our inner state must be a direct reflection of our outer circumstances. We have been taught that it is natural, normal, and completely unavoidable to feel chaotic when our life is chaotic. This belief, however, makes us utterly and completely vulnerable. It turns us into little more than a cork tossed about on a raging sea, with our peace, our clarity, and our well-being entirely dependent on external conditions remaining placid and predictable. A guarantee that life has never offered and will never offer to anyone. It is a recipe for a life of perpetual anxiety and reaction. The truly transformative solution, and one of the highest arts of Stoic practice, is the deliberate and patient cultivation of an inner eye of the storm. This is the creation of an unshakable core of inner calm, a sanctuary of stillness within you that exists entirely independently of your external conditions. It is the masterful, almost magical art of separating what is happening to you from what is happening in you. This timeless wisdom teaches that while the world will always present us with storms, that is its nature, we possess the godlike power to remain the calm center, the observant, still point around which all the chaos of the world must revolve. The core idea that unlocks this ability is the understanding that external events in and of themselves have no inherent emotional charge. A missed flight is simply a set of circumstances. A critical comment from a boss is just a collection of words. It is our internal judgment, our interpretation, that labels the event a disaster or a catastrophe and thereby triggers the corresponding inner turmoil. By seizing control of our judgments, we seize control of our inner world. The supreme benefit of this practice is the development of what can only be described as a practical superpower. The ability to maintain your composure, your clarity of thought, and your effectiveness as a human being precisely when it is needed most. While everyone else around you is succumbing to panic and making poor decisions, you become the bastion of stability, the one person who can think clearly, see the path forward, and act with decisive, focused wisdom amidst the gale. The first and most critical actionable step is to implement the Stoic pause into your life. The very moment you feel the winds of chaos begin to rise, the second you receive a piece of bad news, encounter an unexpected obstacle, or feel a surge of anger, you must train yourself to stop. Do not react immediately. Before any word or action, take one single, deep, conscious breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. This simple 2-second act creates a sacred space, a buffer zone between the external stimulus and your internal response. It is in this precious space that you can consciously choose calm over chaos. The second step is to practice the discipline of objective description. When a negative event occurs, describe it to yourself or in your journal using the most neutral, boring, and unemotional language possible. Strip the event of all its dramatic and catastrophic labels. For instance, instead of thinking, "My boss just completely destroyed my presentation in front of everyone and my career is over," you would state the objective fact. "During the meeting, my boss provided critical feedback on my presentation and requested a number of significant revisions." Can you feel how this linguistic shift immediately drains the event of its power to terrorize your emotions? The third step is to design and codify your personal calm-down ritual. This must be something simple and accessible that you can do anywhere. It could be a short 2-minute walk, the act of listening to a specific, calming piece of instrumental music, or the silent recitation of a mantra or quote that grounds you, such as Marcus Aurelius's reminder, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. You must train your mind and body to associate this specific ritual with a return to your calm center. You then deploy it without hesitation whenever you feel the storm encroaching. The positive transformations that follow from mastering this inner calm are profound and far-reaching. You will find that your problem-solving abilities are vastly improved, as a calm and focused mind is able to see creative solutions and strategic paths that a panicked mind is completely blind to. Your baseline stress levels will plummet, which will have dramatically positive effects on both your long-term mental and physical health. You will begin to earn the deep trust and respect of those around you, in your family, your community, and your workplace, as they will come to see you as a reliable source of strength, wisdom, and stability in turbulent times. You will finally cease to be a helpless victim of your circumstances and become the serene and powerful master of your own experience. Your call to action for this lesson is to prepare for the storm before it arrives. The wise warrior prepares for battle in times of peace. Today, your task is to decide upon and design your personal calm-down ritual. What will it be? A walk? A song? A quote? Once you have decided, practice it once right now while you are already calm. Anchor the feeling of peace to that specific action. Be ready and prepared to use it the next time you feel the first gust of wind from one of life's inevitable storms. We are learning to build an incredibly formidable inner fortress. We have guarded the gates from noise, fenced our sovereign lands from emotional invasion, built a high watchtower to detach from opinions, and now we have established a calm, quiet keep at the very center of our being. But even the strongest fortress can be lost if its defenders run out of supplies. How then do we manage our most precious and finite resource, our own personal energy? In our next lesson, we will learn the vital discipline of how to preserve and protect our vital energy by achieving complete mastery over our own reactions. If this lesson has provided you with a new sense of power and possibility, please demonstrate your support by liking this video and sharing a comment below on what you have chosen as your personal calm-down ritual. And of course, subscribe to Stoic Dominion to continue fortifying your inner world. Lesson 5. Control reactions to preserve energy. Consider for a moment that your personal inner energy, your vitality, your focus, your willpower, is a deep, clear, and finite reservoir of pure water. Every single morning, you wake up and are gifted a certain amount of this precious resource. It is the fuel for your creativity, your productivity, your patience, and your kindness. The tragic inner conflict we all face is that most of us are incredibly careless with this priceless asset. We unconsciously drill dozens of small holes in our own reservoir throughout the day. Every time we have an outsized, uncontrolled emotional reaction, a sudden flash of blinding road rage at a slow driver, a surge of righteous indignation at an anonymous online comment, a prolonged and useless bout of worry over something we have absolutely no control over, we are needlessly and foolishly draining our own life force, leaving the reservoir dangerously low for the people and projects that truly matter. This is why so many of us find ourselves feeling utterly exhausted and depleted at the end of the day, not from meaningful effort or satisfying work, but from the accumulated cost of 1,000 tiny, pointless, emotional expenditures. The problem can be defined as a chronic lack of energetic discipline. We treat our emotional energy as if it were an infinite, inexhaustible resource, squandering it on trivialities, provocations, and imaginary future disasters. We have become like a foolish archer who fires his precious arrows wildly at every rustle in the leaves, at every shadow that flits by, leaving his quiver completely empty when the real target, his life's true purpose, finally appears before him. We are energetically bankrupting ourselves on a daily basis, and we hardly even notice it. The transformative solution is to evolve into a masterful and wise conservator of your own energy. This requires a profound shift in perspective, inspired by Stoic wisdom, that allows you to see that your reactions are not automatic, uncontrollable reflexes. They are choices, and every single choice, no matter how small, has an energetic cost associated with it. By learning to choose our reactions with wisdom, deliberation, and intention, we can preserve our precious strength for our highest purpose. This ancient perspective invites us to stop thinking of our energy as something to be spent and to start thinking of it as something to be invested. Before you make any investment, you must ask if the potential return is worth the risk. Similarly, before you have an emotional reaction, you must learn to ask yourself a simple but life-changing question. Is this event, this person, or this thought worthy of my energy? Does this situation truly warrant a withdrawal from my finite reservoir of life force? You will discover that 99% of the time, the honest answer will be a resounding, liberating no. The incredible benefit of this disciplined practice is the gradual accumulation of a vast surplus of inner power. You will begin to feel a new and invigorating level of vitality, a laser-like focus, and a powerful, sustained drive, because your energy is finally being channeled with precision toward your most important goals, rather than being scattered uselessly to the four winds. The first actionable step on this path is to practice the energy test. The next time you feel a strong emotional reaction brewing inside you, a surge of anger, a wave of frustration, a pang of anxiety, immediately pause. Before you act or speak, mentally rate the triggering event on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 represents something that will have a major, lasting impact on your life 5 years from now, and 1 is something that will be completely forgotten by tomorrow. You will find that most of the things that trigger our biggest reactions are, in the grand scheme of things, a 1 or a 2. This simple, logical assessment creates just enough mental distance for you to consciously choose a minimal, low-energy response instead of a costly, high-energy one. The second step is to learn the silent power of the nod and the smile. In conversations or situations that are clearly designed to provoke a reaction from you, such as a baited question or a passive-aggressive comment, a simple, calm, slow nod can be your most powerful and energy-preserving tool. It signals to the other person that you have heard and understood them, but you fundamentally refuse to engage in the energy-draining battle of egos they are offering you. The third step is to master the art of conscious energy redirection. When you feel the powerful gravitational pull of a pointless argument, a toxic worry spiral, or a bout of impotent rage, use that raw energy as fuel. Physically stand up and immediately direct that emotional energy into a simple, constructive physical task. Do 5 push-ups, organize 1 drawer, wipe down your desk, or write 1 single sentence of a project you care about. This act literally converts the raw, negative material of a destructive reaction into a positive, productive action. The benefits of diligently applying these energy-preserving actions are both immediate and immense. You will begin to end your days feeling not drained and irritable, but productively tired and deeply satisfied from a day of meaningful work. Your personal and professional effectiveness will soar to new heights, as your full energetic capacity is now available to be invested in your most important priorities. You will begin to develop an undeniable aura of calm, centered power, because people will notice that you are not easily provoked, baited, or drawn into pointless conflicts. You are not suppressing your energy, You are consciously and wisely reclaiming the immense power that you have been unconsciously giving away every single day of your life. Your motivational practice for this lesson is to become an energy detective in your own life. For the next 3 days, your sole mission is to identify your top 3 energy leaks. What are the specific situations, people, or thought patterns that consistently drain your reservoir for no good reason? Awareness is the first and most critical step toward any meaningful change. Write them down. Once you have clearly identified the leaks, you can then begin the empowering work of plugging them, one by one, using the tools you have just learned. We have now learned to conserve our precious energy, to keep our inner reservoir full and clear. But in a draining and demanding world, where do we go to replenish this reservoir when it inevitably runs low? How do we find true, sustainable strength and clarity? The next lesson reveals a practice that is often feared and misunderstood in our hyper-connected modern world, the deliberate embrace of solitude as an ultimate and indispensable source of power. To join us for this vital exploration into the heart of selfhood, ensure you are subscribed to Stoic Dominion. Like this video to signal its value to you, and share a comment below on what you have identified as your biggest personal energy leak. Let us learn and grow together. Lesson 6. Solitude as a source of power. Imagine that your soul, your true essence, is a magnificent, exquisitely crafted blade. In the heat and friction of daily life, in the constant engagement with others, the ceaseless demands on your time, the relentless pressures of your responsibilities, this blade inevitably becomes dull, nicked, and compromised. Its fine edge is blunted by compromise, its polished surface is scratched by conflict, and its perfect balance is thrown off by the needs and desires of others. The profound inner conflict we face in our modern culture is a deep-seated, almost phobic fear of being alone with ourselves. We live in a society that relentlessly glorifies constant connection, social activity, and busyness. As a result, we have come to view solitude not as a vital and nourishing practice, but as a social failure, a sign of loneliness, unpopularity, or irrelevance. We have become masters of distraction, surrounding ourselves with noise and activity at all times, precisely to avoid the deafening silence that descends when we are finally alone, to avoid having to truly face the complex, unvarnished person we find when everyone else is gone. The central problem is that by systematically fleeing from solitude, we are fleeing from the very workshop where our soul is meant to be repaired, sharpened, and fortified. We are denying ourselves the one essential and irreplaceable space required for deep, honest reflection, for reconnecting with our own core values, and for finally being able to hear the quiet, subtle whispers of our own intuition, which are normally drowned out by the deafening roar of the world. A blade that is used every day but is never taken back to the forge to be honed and tempered will inevitably chip, crack, and ultimately fail in the moment of its most critical test. So too will a soul that is denied the restorative power of solitude. The transformative solution is to radically reframe your perception of solitude. You must learn to see it not as a punishment, but as a deliberate, sacred, and powerful practice, a chosen pilgrimage to the very center of your own being. This is not the passive, painful, and unwanted state of loneliness. It is the active, intentional, and empowering state of deep self-communion. It is the embrace of the Stoic understanding that just as a blacksmith must retreat to the quiet intensity of his forge to heat, hammer, and temper a piece of steel into a formidable weapon, so too must we retreat into the sanctuary of solitude to temper our own souls. This perspective, both ancient and profoundly relevant, teaches us that it is in stillness, not in frantic motion, that true, enduring strength is forged. The core idea is that solitude is not an absence of company, but the profound presence of self. It is the sacred space where you can finally disentangle your own authentic thoughts from the conditioned thoughts of society, your own genuine feelings from the feelings you are supposed to have, and your own true path from the path that others expect you to walk. The immense benefit of this practice is the gradual emergence of a powerful, centered, and self-reliant individual who is no longer dependent on external validation, constant distraction, or the approval of others for their sense of peace, purpose, and wholeness. You become your own best counsel, your own most trusted friend. The first actionable step is to begin scheduling non-negotiable appointments with yourself. Open your calendar right now and block out specific periods of time, even if it's just 15 minutes to start, and label this time solitude or forge time. You must treat this appointment with the same level of respect and commitment that you would a meeting with your most important client or your boss. It is that important. The second step is to engage in a practice you might call a monk walk. Once a day, go for a walk by yourself for at least 10 minutes. The rules are simple but strict. No phone, no music, no podcasts, no audiobooks. Your only goal is to observe the world around you, the sky, the trees, the people, and to observe the world within you. Let your thoughts wander wherever they wish to go, without judgment or direction. This simple act reacquaints you with the natural rhythm and landscape of your own mind. The third step is to embrace the powerful practice of journaling as a form of structured self-dialogue. In your scheduled period of solitude, sit with a pen and a blank piece of paper. Ask yourself the big, important questions you've been avoiding. What is truly important to me right now in this season of my life? What am I most afraid of and why? What am I deeply grateful for today? If I were not afraid, what would I do? Use the act of writing as a tool to excavate the deep wisdom that currently lies buried beneath the noise of your daily life. The positive transformations you will experience from embracing solitude as a regular practice are profound and life-changing. Your creativity will begin to flourish as new and innovative ideas are finally given the quiet, uninterrupted space they need to emerge from your subconscious. Your decision-making will become sharper, clearer, and more aligned with your most authentic values, as you will have taken the time to actually understand what those values are. Your baseline level of anxiety will naturally lessen as you become more comfortable and at peace in your own skin, less reliant on the presence and approval of others to feel whole and valid. You will begin to return from your chosen periods of solitude to your relationships and responsibilities, not feeling drained, but feeling deeply replenished, with a clearer mind, a steadier heart, and a sharper soul. Your call to action for this lesson is simple in its instruction, but profound in its potential impact. Within the next 48 hours, you must schedule and honor one 30-minute appointment with yourself. Go to your forge. Sit in the stillness. Do not be afraid of what you find there. Know that you are treading on sacred ground, the very place where your greatest and most authentic strength is cultivated. Remember, this is not an escape from life. It is a deeper and more meaningful engagement with it. We have come so far on this journey of self-reclamation. We have built the outer walls of our fortress, managed our precious energy reserves, and now we have learned how to sharpen our very soul in the sacred forge of solitude. Now we must face the final and most important test. How do we integrate all of these powerful lessons to build a truly unshakable inner core that can withstand not just minor setbacks, but any storm that life has to throw at us? Our seventh and final lesson will reveal the secret to forging that unshakable core. To complete this journey and to cement this life-changing wisdom, make sure you are subscribed to Stoic Dominion, like this video to help others who are seeking it find their way, and share your thoughts on the misunderstood power of solitude in the comments below. Lesson 7. Unshakable Core. In every storm picture, one last time, an ancient and magnificent lighthouse. It stands alone on a rugged, rocky promontory, a solitary sentinel being lashed by a ferocious, sea-born tempest of unimaginable power. The waves, immense and terrifying, crash against its stone base with a thunderous fury that seems to shake the very foundations of the earth. The winds, filled with salt and spray, scream and howl around its stoic circular facade. This is the ultimate test. The final and most human inner conflict of our journey is that after all of our diligent work, after all our practice, we still harbor a deep, quiet fear that the big storm, a true life crisis like a devastating job loss, a shocking betrayal from a loved one, or a terrifying health diagnosis, will ultimately prove too powerful. We fear it will topple our lighthouse, shatter our foundations, and extinguish our inner light for good. We have practiced these 7 habits, but we still harbor a seed of doubt about whether they will truly hold up when the stakes are highest and we need them most. The problem lies in a subtle but critical error in perspective. We may still at some level see these habits as separate, individual tools in a toolbox, rather than as integrated, interlocking stones that have formed a single, powerful, and indivisible whole. We see a collection of well-made bricks, but we do not yet fully trust in the unbreachable strength of the fortress they have built together. This perspective leaves us feeling vulnerable, because in the blinding chaos and intense pressure of a real crisis, we might forget which specific tool to use. We might find ourselves fumbling in the dark for the right technique as the waves crash ever higher and our confidence falters. The ultimate transformative solution, the final destination of this journey, is the conscious and intentional fusion of all these disparate habits into a single, unified, unshakable core of being. This is the highest aim of all practical philosophy, including Stoicism. The point where you move beyond simply doing virtuous things and you begin being a virtuous person. It is the final, miraculous alchemy where the practices are no longer something you do, but become a fundamental part of who you are. The lighthouse, after all, does not decide to be strong when the storm hits. Its strength is an inherent, intrinsic quality of its very construction. From its foundations drilled deep into the bedrock to its resilient, interlocking stones and its aerodynamic design. The wisdom here, as ancient and as solid as that bedrock itself, is the great truth that your character ultimately becomes your destiny. By consciously integrating these 7 habits into your daily life, you are not just protecting your inner world, you are fundamentally reconstructing it from the ground up. The core idea that you must grasp is that your disciplined practice in times of calm is the very substance that forges your resilience in times of storm. Every single time you guard your mind from noise, you are mixing the mortar. Every time you set a healthy emotional boundary, you are laying another heavy stone. Every time you choose solitude over distraction, you are strengthening the foundation. The supreme benefit is the birth of a new kind of confidence within you, an unshakable, quiet, and deeply humble confidence that you now possess the inner resources, the strength, and the wisdom to meet whatever life brings with grace, with courage, and with profound equanimity. The first actionable step in this final stage of integration is the daily practice of habit unification. At the very beginning of each day, perhaps before your sacred hour, take just 2 minutes to mentally review the 7 habits. Don't analyze them, don't deconstruct them. Simply bring each one to mind, one after the other, like a warrior checking his shield, his sword, and his helmet. This simple act reinforces to your subconscious mind that these are not separate tactics, but components of a single, unified system of inner strength. The second step is to engage in deliberate storm simulation. When you face a small, everyday challenge, a frustrating traffic jam, a condescending email, a child's tantrum, you must consciously reframe it. Say to yourself, this is not a problem. This is a drill. This is a storm simulation. Then, intentionally and deliberately deploy your integrated tools. Guard your mind from the noise of anger. Set a boundary against frustration. Choose your reaction to preserve your energy and maintain your inner calm. By practicing on the small, predictable waves, you are training your muscle memory for the day the unexpected tidal wave arrives. The third and most powerful step is to codify and live by your own personal philosophy. Take the time to write down in a single, powerful sentence what it means for you to live a good, virtuous, and meaningful life. It could be something like, to act with courage, kindness, and integrity, and to maintain my inner peace, no matter the external circumstance. Let this single sentence become your true north, the unwavering light in your lighthouse that guides your every action and integrates your every habit into a coherent whole. The transformation that follows this final life's crucial step of integration is the beautiful and powerful culmination of all your dedicated work. You will no longer feel like you are practicing these habits. You will feel in your very bones that you are embodying them. You will begin to react to challenges and crises from an entirely new center of gravity, a center of profound stability, quiet wisdom, and unshakable strength. Fear will not vanish entirely. That would be inhuman. But it will no longer have the power to paralyze you or to command your actions. It will become just another form of weather outside the lighthouse. You will know, at a level deeper than words can ever express, that while you can never control the storm, you are the lighthouse. And you will know with absolute certainty that your core is unshakable. Your light will not go out. Your final practice is to forge your personal philosophy. This is your charter, the constitution of your inner world. Take the time today to sit down in your solitude and write your guiding sentence. It does not need to be perfect, and it can change over time. It only needs to be true for you, right now. Once you have written it, place it somewhere you will see it every single day. On your bathroom mirror, as the wallpaper on your phone, on a note card on your desk. Let it be a constant reminder of the person you are choosing to become, the fortress you have built, and the unshakable strength you have forged.